Millie, just chilling in the studio floor. Are we on? Welcome back to Behind the Blind, brought to you by Tetra Hearing at tetrahearing.com. It is episode 3 from our fall North Dakota trip, and the last episode will be coming out tomorrow, and tomorrow we will be announcing the winner of the prize pack that we are giving away from this trip, a Heartland Waterfowl swag pack, including a set of Carlson's cremator choke tubes, the mid-range and the long-range, the Heartland Waterfowl Signature Edition. So be listening for your name. If you are just now checking this out and you're wondering what this is all about, just make sure you subscribe to the Heartland Waterfowl YouTube channel, like all of these videos that we are releasing while we're in North Dakota, comment on all of those videos, and that will automatically get you entered. We'll pull a name at random tomorrow. So,
what if they're already subscribed?
Well, if they're already subscribed, they've already got one part of the entry completed, but then they need to like and comment on all of the videos.
One step closer.
Yeah.
You don't have to subscribe again?
No,
that would make you unsubscribe.
You're already
from the guy who likes to say like it, swipe it, and all that good stuff.
I'm just trying to help.
Okay, well, you just made it more complicated.
As in everything.
Speaking of complications, we had the whole day was filled of complications, really. Let's start. I guess we'll kind of piggyback off what we talked about last night. The fog was terrible. We had next to what I'd say 150, 200 yards of visibility at best, and it made it very difficult to find the birds. And so, as we said in the pod yesterday, that we were going out on a whim. It was a hope and a prayer. We knew that there were ducks in that area, but we were gonna go give it a shot. And then we found out that the birds were there. They just didn't want to be where we wanted to be.
Well, we figured out where they wanted to be this morning. They were on some sheet water. We had thought that they were maybe going into a slough. And with all the snow melt, there was some sheet water that collected in that southeast corner of that bean field. And whenever we were driving in this morning and saw it, and Nate was walking out there, he was like, "This is where they're at." Like, there's tracks everywhere.
There was tracks everywhere for sure.
When we walked out, we knew. It was like, yeah, this had to be what they were hitting in there. But there was zero cover. The wind was ripping, which gave the ducks a lot of opportunity to look at us, and we just didn't have the cover we needed. We thought we were going to be set up against Cattail Slough with plenty of cover, and we ended up sitting in the middle of a bean field with no cover on an edge of a piece of sheet water. And
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
They just knew we were. I mean, they just knew we were there.
Right.
So, but we shot
8, I think.
Yeah, we shot 8 really nice, mature Drake greenhead. So
yeah,
it was cool. But it is what it is. They all came out at once too this morning early, which I thought was weird. I didn't think they would all come at once. I thought it would have been more of like a trickle, but they damn sure all came at once. Yeah, there, Millie.
Millie's making me really nervous around those cords.
Lay down.
Hey, Millie, we should have had you there. Had you been there,
no way.
That would have been the good look charm.
No
because
way.
she would have been covered in mud.
That would have been abysmal.
Joining us on the podcast tonight, Nate Meyer. What was your takeaway from the hunt this morning?
Exactly that. I don't know. I wish we could have maybe watched them another day.
Yeah. Well, we did. So we got to watch them today. You guys went out and scouted them or that area. And it looks like the plan is then to not necessarily go to the exact same spot, but that general area, hunt those birds.
Yeah, different spot in the field. They were dry feeding heavy tonight. They were still hitting that sheet water, but sitting there and watching them, they would go in, kind of dabble and mess around a little bit. Then they would end up getting up out of there and then going to out to dry feed. Not too far from where we were set up this morning. But it looks like there's a nice rock pile or a slough out there to definitely be able to set up on. Now, don't get me wrong, we could pop up over the hill and it could be another little sheet water deal. We couldn't see, any kind of depression in the field where it would look like water would gather. But
we have a backdrop.
But yeah, we definitely have a backdrop tomorrow, no doubt. We're supposed to have a really strong wind. I think right off the bat tomorrow, I think it's supposed to be blowing 15 to 20 right at shooting time. So I would expect some of the ducks would do what they did this morning, where they'll come off and they'll probably go to that sheet water, and then hopefully start trickling out to where we're at, where we're set up, and
Millie, go away. You can't do that. You're gonna giving me a serious anxiety attack.
She's gonna wreck the whole pod. She's gonna sabotage it.
I'm going to bring up a topic that I didn't really plan on bringing up going into this podcast, and I think we've talked about it before last year, but there's sometimes those people who have no problem with setting up a A-frame type of blind in the middle of the field, and then there's those who just absolutely don't like it. You guys all guide, right? Like for different entities. What's your opinion of that? And maybe how it varies from situation to situation, having an A-frame style blind set up in the middle of a field.
I don't have a problem with it. You just got to take more time on the hide.
Okay.
You got to have enough grass to get hidden. I've had a lot of success doing it. We've run those big skids in the middle of a cornfield and never had an issue.
That's it? Okay, Joe?
In a bean field, it's tough. It's easy to get away with early when the ducks are still dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And not as pressured as they are right now. It's just situational. It depends. I mean, if you have the right circumstance, and like Nate said, if you have your blinds grassed really good, even whenever you're setting up, in the middle of a field, there's a lot of times it works. Today, with it being overcast, the ducks had all the advantage. They could see way better. They could see us way better than they would have been able to, had we had some shadows or anything like that to deal with. But in my opinion, I mean, it does work, but you just always want to have something to back up against, typically, if you can. And two, I've found a lot, sometimes more blinds are better than less. Like if you put, if you have 4 blinds, sometimes it looks a lot better in the middle of a field than 2 does. Sometimes bigger is better, sometimes it's not. But yeah, it definitely does work. But I always prefer to have something to back up against.
Everett,
I'm with Joe. I don't like doing it in bean fields just because there's nothing around you. It's
just
dirt.
Nothing.
It's dirt. It's black. It's dirty. But I've done it in cornfields, edge cornfields, that with beans on the other side or something like that.
Even wheat stubble.
Beans, but even wheat stubble, just something.
Even wheat stubble.
Maybe not green wheat.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing for me, I guess, that made me a little bit sketch this morning going into it, because it was muddy, which is obviously, I mean, it's just a black field. And when you're in a bean field, you just got these little tiny stems there. There's not enough vegetation to make it look natural for this grassy big mound of blind on the side of a piece of sheet water.
Sometimes you don't have a choice.
Yeah, I think colder weather helps on that too. I think the colder weather makes birds a little bit
And had we set up against the slough where we were originally trying to get to, we probably wouldn't have shot a duck.
That's true.
Whether we had the backdrop or not, it just wasn't where they were going.
Right.
So to be, exactly where we thought we needed to be, we had to sacrifice cover. And it worked on a couple bunches.
Yeah.
If we wanted to trash the A-frames and get everything muddy and get them mudded up, it would have looked, you would have had to blend in a little bit better than that yellow grass we had on there.
Yeah, but then that's when you start kind of evaluating the rest of your trip and what's going to be like, what's the, I don't know.
Do we want to get everything covered in mud or just half our shit covered in mud?
Right. On a whim, kind of.
Right.
Because at that point,
we had no idea. Like I said, we couldn't see anything last night. We just knew that there were some ducks. We could see some ducks going into that field barely. And we didn't have a clue what they were going on. We just knew about where they were. And we knew we had to go in and try to figure it out this morning, and that's what we tried to do. And like I said, we shot a few. It was cool. We got to see a bunch of ducks, worked a bunch of ducks.
There was a lot of
worked
ducks.
A bunch of ducks. But hopefully tomorrow, we'll be able to get a little revenge on them. We'll see if they come out and play and want to cooperate.
Well, it will be the last hunt before we take a little break, before we go back on the road the week of Thanksgiving when we go out to Kansas. So hoping to end on a high note. the buggy has been, and we talked about this the last couple nights, but the buggy has been so essential. There was actually a little bit of a butt puckering moment as we were driving the buggy into the field with the trailer where I thought we might get stuck. And then as we're trying to charge through it, everybody who was on the back of the trailer was getting rained, and I'm getting yelled at because I'm driving. You guys were getting rained with the mud, thinking that we were doing this intentionally.
It was.
It was definitely intentionally.
It was not intentional.
On the way out, that you were like fishtailing.
Hey, y'all can drive tomorrow. I don't care.
I would prefer that.
Me and Everett will get in. You guys can ride.
That's fine. Y'all can figure out where we're going.
It's been awesome being up here. I think we were driving around tonight, and I was like, in some ways, I kind of feel like we're getting cheated by North Dakota this year because you guys just had such an incredible season up until the point where we got here. And that's not to say that we've had bad hunting. It's just been a lot more challenging due to the elements, the weather, the mud, the fog. So hoping that tomorrow will be the day where we really bring her home.
Yeah, sure. We can trick 25 of them.
Yeah, I would think so. So really not a lot to add to tonight's podcast. Just a quick little update. I was just trying to think, man, if there was like a feature that we could do on a sponsor real quick, maybe where you thought a particular sponsor, a particular product that was useful or beneficial with this trip up here in North Dakota. What's maybe the first one that comes to your mind, Everett?
I would say probably the first light gear.
Yeah,
sure. Knocking the wind off and stuff like that. Yeah. We've had some cold mornings, but we sat out there in the mud today, and we generally stayed fairly dry, kept the wind off of us. Nobody was cold or anything like that, which is huge.
Yeah, that stuff was solid.
If you can't stay out in the blind, then
I actually had a phone call with Ford from First Light today, and I was telling him about how Joe and I were using the LZ jacket. It's basically looks like a rain jacket.
It is. It's just a good shell, but blocks the wind.
It's like light. It's light, and you can like I had a hoodie on and a vest, and I was able to still throw that on, and it's not going to keep you insulated, but it will cut the wind. And when that wind was whipping at 25 plus miles per hour at times, man, that was huge.
Yep.
Any other products from any of our partners that kind of stand out while we've been up here that? I guess one that kind of, for me is the more and more I use them, the more and more I like them, is the stuff that Tingle Free has, man. I mean, I was talking about when we were sitting there in the mud, there was water seeping into the blind, and we were literally in a puddle of water, and I had my blind bag and they're in my gun case in the mud and in the water. And I was like, man, I hope that this isn't going to leak inside the bag. And you open it up, dry as a bone, quality stuff, and the decoys they look great. So I'm a big fan of the products, the duck decoys that we've been using there. Joe, anything that kind of comes to mind?
I'm going to say them Kent 2x4s. Keep sending them, please.
Yeah, it took what I was going to say.
The Fast Steel Plus, baby.
I didn't take what you were going to say.
Fast Steel Plus, yeah, that stuff is awesome, and that's relatively new to the market. That's kind of like their hybrid shells where you got the 2-shot and the 4-shot in there.
I like them a lot.
I do too.
They pattern really well.
Yeah, they've been awesome. We used them up in Saskatchewan with the snow geese as well, but the 2.4s have definitely been a load that have been real popular with all of us here on the Heartland Waterfowl team. So, is there one that you can think of now that Joe stole that one, or
no,
we've all you got screwed because you're the last one after we covered 3 of them there. So, don't forget
if Vortex could make us something that could see through some fog, that would be pretty cool.
That would be good. That would be good.
And I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Thought about trying to use a thermal to scout last night. Man, if I had a thermal, that might work.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We really do appreciate all the support. Again, tell your friends if you can, because we were really wanting to build this YouTube channel, and we've got more stuff given away throughout the entire year. So for every trip that we go on, the goal is to give away something, and it's easy to do by just simply making sure you subscribe, comment on all the videos that release, and make sure you hit that like button as well.
Everett, what are you doing to that water bottle? That's all I can hear is that thing cracking.
Not drinking it. So let's wrap this up. We'll give away that prize pack, the HW prize swag pack with the Carlson choke tubes. We'll do that on the next edition of Behind the Blind. For Nate Meyer, Joe Palumbo, and Everett Adkins, I'm Ronnie Philips. Thank you, Tetra Hearing, for being the title sponsor of Behind the Blind.
wonder what that